Love's body. The quarrel is over the parental inheritance. But the parental inheritance is the parental body itself. All partook of his body, says Freud. The body of the world which is broken into pieces is the body of the God. As the Christians say, others bequeath to their heirs their property, but he bequeathed himself. That is the flesh and blood of his body. The fall is the fall into division of the one universal man. Civil strife is dismemberment. Oh, let me teach you how to knit again this scattered corn into one mutual sheaf, these broken limbs again into one body. The body of the world which is broken into pieces is the body of the God. This is Freud's cannibalistic act. The body is divided equally. No one came away from the feast without his fair share. Fraternities are moieties or segments of one body, but the segments are sexes. The prototype of all opposition, or contrariety, is the contrariety of sex. Fraternal organization is a separating out of opposites, which must forever seek each other out, contrary and complementary halves, sexes. The two exogamous sections are opposed as male and female, since the male belonging to one phratry must marry a female from the other. This contrariety is reconciled in marriage, the union of opposites. The marriage combines Eros and Thanatos, love and strife. Division, duality, two sexes. In a sense, there are always two brothers. There is in every act a sociological dualism. Two parties who exchange services and functions, each watching over the measure of fulfillment and the fairness of conduct of the other. Dual organization. There is something here that Freud did not know. There are always two fraternities, not one. And exogamy is not marriage by capture, part of the ritual of Eros and Thanatos in the dual organization. Dual organization is sexual organization. The structural principle is the union of opposites. The most general model, and perhaps the most systemic application, is to be found in China, in the opposition of the two principles of yang and yin, as male and female, day and night, summer and winter, the union of which results in an organized totality, Tao, such as the conjugal pair, the day or the year. The agon contest between winter and summer, night and day, is coitus. The prototype of all opposition or contrariety is sex. The prototype of the division into sexes is the separation of earth and sky. Mother Earth and Father Sky, the primal parents. The primal one body that was divided among the brothers was parental and bisexual. The two become one flesh, the parents in coitus. In psychoanalytic jargon, the combined object. The primal crime is also the crime of Cronus, the youngest of the brothers, severing the member that joined Father Sky and Mother Earth. The fraternity comes together on a contract or covenant, when they cut the calf in twain and pass between the parts thereof. It was an ancient custom for allies to pass between severed parts, that being enclosed within the sacrifice, they might be the more sacredly united in one body. At this point we go beyond Freud, with Melanie Klein. The body that the brothers partook of was not the body of the father, but the body of the father and mother combined. The brothers interject the parents in coitus in a new covenant or coming together, in dual organization, in exogamous phantries between whom there is intercourse and antagonism. The brothers perpetually reenact in their mutual relations. Their wrestling is sexual as well as aggressive, in imitation of the parental copulation. Initiation is rebirth. By rebirth, birth from one's real mother is nullified. At the marriage in Cana, the mother of Jesus said unto him, They have no wine. And Jesus said unto her, Woman, woman, what have I to do with thee? By being born again, the original sin is cancelled. Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Birth from the mother is nullified, and a new spiritual mother found. Who's my real mother is a political question. In Plato's Republic, the fraternity of guardians are to think of the land they dwell in as mother and nurse. The fraternity is itself the mother. The journey of initiation is ended. It goes from the mothers to the mothers, although in reality the young man is henceforth to be separated from the mother. Symbolically, he is brought back to her. All of human culture is our alma mater, every polis a metropolis. What we enter in our initiation is a womb, and stay there, no exit. It is the birth trauma or separation not accepted, and the mind regresses to the time before the separation took place. It is as though we had never been born. The world is our mother. The outside world is the mother's body in an extended sense. To explore is to penetrate. The world is the insides of mother, the entry into the world of knowledge and schoolwork. Seem to be identified with the entry into the mother's body. Sadistic fantasies, with a PH, directed against the inside of her body, constitute the first and basic relation to the outside world and to reality. In the imagination of the small child, these multiple objects are situated inside the mother's body. The interior of the mother's body becomes the representative of her whole person as an object, and at the same time symbolizes the external world and reality. Melanie Klein made her discoveries by interpreting the gestures of children playing with toys. Already in childhood, symbolic equivalents for the inside of the mother's body are discovered in external objects, the toys. Growing up consists in finding new toys, new symbolic equivalents, so that in all of our explorations we are still exploring the inside of our mother's body. And what the child is doing in the inside of his mother's body is scooping it out. This desire to suck and scoop out, first directed to her breast, soon extends to the inside of her body, excavation. The child is hollowing out a cave for himself inside his mother's body. We are still unborn. We are still in a cave. Plato's cave. Behold, men live in a sort of cavernous underground chamber, with a long passage stretching towards the light all down the cave. Meandering or labyrinthine paths, spirals, mazes, actually followed in ritual initiation dances, or symbolically represented in ritual objects, represent the archetypal endeavors of the divine ancestor, the prototypical man to emerge into this world, to be born. The story of the Labyrinth, for example, is to be found a representation of anal birth. The tortuous paths are the bowels, and the thread of Ariadne is the umbilical cord. Mother is mold, matter. Mutter is mud. The labyrinth or maze is also a dance, the dance of life. Then, as all actions of mankind are but a labyrinth or maze, so let your dances be entwined. The dance of life, the whole story of our wanderings, in a labyrinth of error, the labyrinth of this world, we wandering in the wilderness. The labyrinth of the world, Satan's labyrinth, this world as underworld, the inferno of Dante's wanderings, night with his ninefold coils, the meanderings, Stygian waters, at the Cumaean gates, at the mouth of Hades, a representation of the Cretan labyrinth. This labyrinthine cave in which we live is the world of the dead, où la spectre en plein jour accroche le passant. This metropolis is necropolis. This cave is grave, this womb is tomb. We are not yet born, we are dead. The souls of children not yet born are the souls of ancestors dead. The underlying idea is reincarnation. Of the public magicians among the Australian Aborigines, Fraser says, their most important task is to take charge of the sacred storehouse, usually a cleft in the rocks or a hole in the ground, where are kept the holy stones and sticks, with which the souls of all people, both living and dead, are apparently supposed to be in a manner bound up. According to Merngen, the most unifying concept of the whole Klein ideology is that of the sacred waterhole in which reposes the spiritual unity of clan life. It is the fundamental symbol of clan solidarity. The wanderings of the soul after death are prenatal adventures, a journey by water in a ship which is itself a goddess to the gates of rebirth. In vow, the newly dead man is believed to arrive before the entrance to a cave on the seashore, where he encounters a terrible female monster, seen as Spider-Woman, man-devouring ogress, crab-woman with immense claws, or a giant bivalvular mollusk clam, which when opened resembles the female genital organ, and which shuts to devour. In front of the cave mouth is a maze-like design called the Path, traced on the sand by the monster. As the dead man approaches, she obliterates half of the design, and he has to restore it or else be devoured. The path is the same one that he has trodden many times in the ceremonial dances, and his knowledge of it proves him to be an initiate. After completing the design, he must tread its mazes to the threshold of the cave. We dwell in night, the dungeon like heaven, the lid of our coffin, like the vaulted chamber, in which the dead Egyptian kings lay, a representation of the heavens as a firmament or lid. The labyrinth is also a spreading tree, a cave, a rock, a tree deadly and poisonous. The tree of mystery, the tree of knowledge, Serpentina sapientia, pursuing matter through its infinite divisions, the serpentine deity, which is the wisdom of this world. For man has closed himself up till he sees all things through narrow chinks of his cavern. The cave is the self-enclosure of the self-imprisonment in a shell, the shellfishness of selfishness, the cave of separation and self. The cosmos is a cosmic shell, the mundane shell. The mundane shell is a vast concave earth, an immense hardened shadow of all things upon our vegetated earth, in 27 heavens and all their hells with chaos and ancient night and purgatory. It is a cavernous earth. of labyrinthine intricacy. 27 folds of opaqueness, and the shellfishness of selfishness is the reluctance to be born. In the cave of separateness, the self curls up in sleep. In the mundane shell, the unborn sleep. The human condition is that of Albion at the beginning of Jerusalem, the sleep of Ulro. And sleep is uterine regression, a reactivation of the intra-uterine situation. Our relationship with the world, which we entered so unwillingly, seems to be endurable only with intermission. Hence we withdraw periodically into the condition prior to our entrance into the world. That is to say, into intra-uterine existence. 1/3 of us has never been born at all. The underworld cave is the cave of sleep and dreams. Aeneas comes back up by the gate of dreams. In the ancient world, disturbed persons went for a dream and a cure to the cave of Trophonios. The psychoanalytic session is an improved maternal womb in which the patient incubates. The cave of dreams and the cave of the dead are the same cave. Ghosts are dreams, and dreams are ghosts, shades, umbrae. Sleep is regressive. In dreaming, we return to dream time, the age of heroes and ancestors, or the primal parents. In the idea of reincarnation, the father finds his child in a dream. Where life is still within the cave, and we still unborn, the beginning of life, birth, is not exit from the womb, but entry into the cave, womb, the descent of the soul into the world of matter, the world of generation. Where Empedocles says, "We have come down into this roofed cave," he is referring to the moment of reincarnation. Life is seen as beginning, not at birth, but at conception. The life of the individual is identified with the seed of life, or with his father's penis. The spirit child, seen in the father's dream, is his own penis. The spirit children called their prospective mother's vagina rock hole. When they say, "I am going into a rock hole," they intend to be born. Copulation is uterine regression. Birth, copulation, and death, equated. The basic structure of the dream. The basic dream is a reaction to being asleep. And we can distinguish 3 stages in this basic dream. Sleep is death. Sleep is uterine regression. Sleep is coitus. The crux is the equation of coming out and going in, forwards and backwards, progression and regression, life and death. Birth is to come out of a womb and to go into a womb. For flinging oneself into the water, read coming out of the water. The birth of the hero is the death of the hero. In dreams, as in mythology, the delivery of a child from the uterine waters is commonly represented by way of distortion as the entry of the child into water. Sleep is both uterine regression and emergence into a new world, as soul leaves body, i.e. being born, the dream body phallus, while it is going in at the same time coming out of the womb. The woman penetrated is a labyrinth. You merge into another world inside the woman. The penis is the bridge. The passage to another world is coitus. The other world is a womb cave. Cave man still drags cave woman to his grave. All coitus is fornication, fornix, an underground arched vault. and the cave in which coitus takes place is the grave, a chthonic fertility rite, Antigone buried alive, together with her ancestors, her bridal chamber the tomb. Death is coitus, and coitus is death. Death is genitalized as a return to the womb. Incestuous coitus. Life and death equated. Every coitus repeats the fall, brings death, birth, into the world. It is sky descending into Mother Earth, ejaculating his powers, suffering, castration. The staff that cleaves the waters is the dead man's body. The corpse, the stiff that ejaculates the soul or semen, is the penis. To be turned into stone symbolizes not only erection, but also castration. This is the rocky law of condemnation and double generation and death, which makes the loins the place of the last judgment. Unborn, in the womb then, asleep and dreaming, withdrawn from the environment, or split from the environment, as in schizophrenia. As Blake saw, there is a fission, a duplication, a division, withdrawn into a cave or a womb, which is himself, as Blake would say, the selfhood. The womb into which the sleeper withdraws is at the same time his own body. The dreamer sinks into himself and makes himself a whole new world, a man-made world in the deepest sense, a whole new world out of the body of the dreamer, a world which is his cave. To make a world out of himself, the dreamer must not only split with the world, but also split himself into both self and world, self and environment, mother and child. But inside the womb, self and environment is penis and vagina. Out of the body of the dreamer is made both a phallus and a womb, and the basic dream is of phallic movement in a female environment, space. The wandering heroes are phallic heroes, in a permanent state of erection, prickling over the plain. The word coition represents genital sexuality, as walking, but the converse is also true. All walking or wandering in the labyrinth is genital sexual. All movement is phallic, all intercourse sexual. Hermes, the phallus, is the god of roads, of doorways, of all goings in and comings out, all goings on. All walking or wandering is from mother to mother in mother. It gets us nowhere. Movement is in space, and space, as Plato says in the Timaeus, is a receptacle, a vessel, a matrix, as it were, the mother or nurse of all becoming. Space is a sphere or spheres containing us, ambient and embracing, the world mothering air as atmosphere, also a chaos or chasm, a yawning pit, a devouring mother, without form, void and dark. And then there is light walking in darkness, the sun hero in the mother dragon night. Mundus, this world, as a yawning pit. Mundus patet, abode of the dead. Mundus, the circular ceremonial trench, urbi et orbi, that represents the vulva or uterus of the mother. Both the phallic hero and the female space are made out of the one body of the dreamer. It is true, then, after all, that Eve came from Adam's rib, that the separation of the sexes, a fission, division, duplication, occurs in Adam's sleep or dream. The Eve that comes from Adam's rib is not just a woman, but the emanation, the world as a woman. Time and space are real beings, a male and a female. Time is a man, space is a woman, and her masculine portion is death. He the priest and she the tabernacle. In the sleep of Adam, the church is born. The split of self from environment and of self into both self and environment is also the split of self or soul from body. The essence of dreaming is duplication, division, as in schizophrenia. The dreamer sees himself, a double of himself. The moment of falling asleep is the moment in which the soul is born, that phallic personification of the body. This soul is a penis. The hero of the dream is a phallic double or phallic personification of the whole body. Having a soul, the hero with the 1,000 faces is the same as having genital organization. To take the penis as the narcissistic representative of the total personality. We have not yet been born. We are still in the womb, asleep. We are such stuff as dreams are made on. Life begins with a falling into the womb, a fall into sleep. Our birth is but a sleep and a forgetting. Adam's fall is Adam's fall into sleep, or Osiris's descent into the underworld. The descent to the underworld is what happens to every human being when he goes to sleep. The question, what is life, turns out to be the question, what is sleep? Freud is the master of those who know. To sleep, to die. Sleep is the twin brother of death. Sleep is death stirred by dreams. Death is dreamless sleep. The womb, then, is a tomb. To be born is to die, and life is really death in life. Psychoanalysis is the rediscovery of the Orphic or Oriental vision of life as sleep disturbed by dreams, of dream as a disturbance in death. In the philosophy of Freud's Beyond the Pleasure Principle and Ferenczi's The Lhasa, life itself is a catastrophe or fall or trauma. The form of the reproductive process repeats the trauma out of which life arose, and at the same time endeavors to undo it. The uterine regressive trend in the sex act is an aspect of the universal goal of all organic life, to return to lifeless condition out of which life arose. The goal of all life is death. In this philosophy, life and the main stages in biological evolution, sexual differentiation, adaptation to dry land, are catastrophes excited by external forces. These catastrophes create tension, and the aim of life, or of evolutionary adaptation, is to get rid of the tension, and so die. Life is a temporary, accidental disturbance in a lifeless and thus peaceful universe. It is best then never to have been born, and second best, quickly to die. Nirvana is release from the cycle of rebirth. The conclusion of the whole matter. Blake, we are in a world of generation and death, and this world we must cast off. The sleep of Ulro, the passage through eternal death, the awakening to eternal life, and then we shall see that generation is not the reality, but a shadow of the reality. Generation is only an image of regeneration. The real birth would be birth from the womb of the dream world. The real death is the death we are dead with here and now. Real life can only be life after death, or resurrection. Life other than the life whose goal is death, and whose pattern is the repetition, compulsion, karma. The awakening to eternal life. Free from the cycle of rebirth. The experience of the unborn. Unborn, but not in a womb, before the fall into a womb. The son without a father in the resurrection, in the resurrected body, a body that is not genitally organized. Without mother. Today the Virgin gives birth to the Maker of the universe. The cave brings forth Eden. Adam wakes from his sleep, and there is no longer any separate Eve. No longer any Mother Eve. No longer any Mother Nature. The Pope supposes nature and the Virgin Mary to be the same allegorical personages, but the Protestant considers nature as incapable of bearing a child. No more nature, no more nascence, unborn or virgin birth. Beyond nature, supernatural. Turning and turning in the animal belly, the mineral belly, the belly of time, to find the way out, the poem. The sleeper turns into himself and falls back into the womb. Sleep is a combination of regression and introversion. The dream space is both the mother's womb and the dreamer's body. In the dream, in magic, in schizophrenia, we return to the dual unity, mother and child, as one body. The chiringa, the holy stones, with which the life of the tribe is bound up. The stone body or mystical body of the individual, incised with patterns of concentric circles. That body that is identical with environment, hence we have struck rock bottom. What the churanga symbolizes and magically achieves is the unity of the infant with the mother. The churanga, although it represents the body of an individual, also stands for the environment in which he moves. The house or town, which the boy is so keen to build up again in his play, signifies not only his mother's renewed and intact body, but his own, or the machine, as in the dream of the self-service elevator in the big house, a symbol both of the mother and of the man's own erection. Basic dream is of self as embryo in womb equals penis in womb equals parents in coitus, the primal scene. In genital organization, we identify with the penis, but the penis we are is not our own, but daddy's, or at least in it, we and the Father are one. In genital organization, body and soul are haunted, possessed by the ghost of Father. Coitus is performed in a dream by the ghost. The retention of the primal scene as endopsychic element makes present the past and derealizes the present. The self is present with father's penis in mother's womb, fantasies, pH, of mating, a father's penis in mother's womb, and of witnessing copulation between the parents, or of being damaged by it during intrauterine life. It is as though, when he, the father, entered the mother's body sexually, he found the children there. The parents in coitus, the two snakes copulating, the Tiresias saw. The two snakes are one snake, a phallic snake, which also bites and swallows like a vagina. The Euroboric snake, which is both a pole and a hole, a dragon red and hidden harlot, sitting on the waters. The rainbow serpent of the Australian Aborigines, this ambisexual symbolism of the snake, is associated with the rainbow, the ambisexual sea serpent Leviathan, in the Jewish tradition, whose castration, separation into two sexes, is the creation of this world, when God separated the upper male waters from the lower female waters. What then did the Holy One, blessed be he, do? He castrated the male and killed the female, as it is written, and he will slay the dragon that is in the sea. As the separation of male and female is the creation of this world, their union is its destruction by flood. they united and grew mighty to destroy the world. And in the end, he will open all the chambers of water which are above the heavens, and of the fountains which are beneath the earth. And all the waters shall be joined with the waters. That which is above the heavens is the masculine, and that water which is beneath the earth is the feminine. And they shall destroy all who dwell on the earth, and those who dwell under the ends of the heaven. The woman is a penis. The symbolic equation, girl equals phallus, Aphrodite, the personification of femininity, is just a penis cut off and tossed into the sea, the penis which Father Sky lost in intercourse with Mother Earth. Mother and child as one body is mother with a penis. The symbolic equation, penis equals child. The king entering the arch, the priest in the tent or tabernacle. The tree of life, with both rising trunk and spreading branches bearing fruit, both a penis and a breast, is also the tree of death, on which the sun is hung, the mother with a penis. Thus was the Lamb of God condemned to death. They nailed him upon the tree of mystery, weeping over him, and then mocking, and then worshipping, calling him Lord and King. Sometimes as 12 daughters lovely, and sometimes as 5. They stood in beaming beauty, and sometimes as one, even Rahab, whose mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots. Blake, Knight, 8. The vagina as a devouring mouth, or vagina dentata. The jaws of the giant cannibalistic mother, a menstruating mother, with the penis bitten off, a bleeding trophy. Coitus, as a battle in which the prize is a penis. The infantile notion of coitus as a fight between two phalloi, in which the weaker one is castrated and becomes a female. Ferenczi's theory of genitality. Both sexes developed the male sexual organ, and there came about, perhaps, a tremendous struggle, the outcome of which was to decide upon which sex should fall, the pains and duties of motherhood, and the passive endurance of genitality. In the struggle, the female sex succumbed. Psychoanalysis still looking at the primal scene. Love and war in the Western world, how they are similar. Mars and Venus, their daughter is harmony, the peg that joins, an arm or armor. In deadly combat, i.e., in destructive copulation. Locked in battle, in holy deadlock, a wedlock is the continuation of war by other means. Women are the gift which makes peace. The fatal gift which leads to war. The two giant figures are cannibals in mutual manducation. Oral copulation, or the equivalent of penis and breast, the crux in sexual inversion. Coitus as castration. To be castrated is to be a woman, but the woman is a devouring mouth which castrates. Those who have been castrated must castrate others to incorporate their penis. But to receive into themselves a penis is to again be a woman, to be castrated. To be the penis of the mother with a penis, both erection and castration. The primal scene is Medusa's head seen, a trophy decapitated and still potent. The female genitals with no penis, but with snakes for hair, a confirmation of the technical rule according to which a multiplication of penis symbolizes castration. It is a remarkable fact that, however frightening they may be in themselves, they, the snakes, nevertheless serve actually as a mitigation of the horror, for they replace the penis, the absence of which is the cause of the horror. Multiplication here signifies both division, dismemberment, bits instead of unity, castration, and also fruitful multiplication, reproduction, many where there had been only one. We are in a world oscillating between the one and the many, a world of fission and fusion, the world of schizophrenia, the world of the schizophrenic patient, whose primary function in life, as he saw it, was to restore people who had been mutilated. The sight of Medusa's head makes the spectator of the primal scene stiff with terror, turns him to stone. The stiff is a corpse and an erection, the stone phallus, an abbreviation for all kingship, the final goal of all monumental aspiration, the stylites complex. Both castration and erection achieved in a genitalization of death. The endless task to achieve the impossible, to find a male-female vaginal father, or a female-male phallic mother. It is to square the circle, the desire and pursuit of the whole in the form of dual unity, or the combined object, the satanic hermaphroditism of Antichrist, a winepress of love and wrath double hermaphroditic. Squaring the circle, finding a male-female or female-male, incessantly renewed denial of the fact that there are human beings without a penis. It is the big lie which makes the world go round, or masturbation. It is not true that I am deprived of pleasure more since I have my penis. Castration denied. The big lie, a phony penis, a fetish. He created a substitute for the penis which he missed in women, that is to say, a fetish. In so doing, it is true that he had given the lie to reality, but he had saved his own penis, or cutting of woman's plaits of hair. The action contains within it two incompatible propositions. The woman has still got a penis, and the father has castrated the woman. A tangle of hair, a tissue of lies, the web of social action, the complexities of intellectual systems, a web of deceit, a woof wove called science, hymen, hymn, hypnos, the net or nexus, networks of affiliation. The filial relation is not natural, but artificial, threaded. The seamless garment of the church and state. In the ascent of the soul, the doffing of garments, the slipping of knots, the loosing of bonds, disaffiliation. The sum of these knots is called psyche, the complexes, or complications. Woman, wife, thy name is weaving. Thou art my mother from the womb, wife, sister, daughter to the tomb, weaving to dreams the sexual strife, and weeping over the web of life. Great Mother Maya, weaver of the world, the veil. In the Apocalypse, the chief thing to be unveiled is the great whore Babylon, that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Babylon is a whore. She it is with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. The mother of harlots is the mother of kings. In the Apocalypse, pomp, power, and politics is discovered to be sex. Perverted sex, sadomasochistic sex. The inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication, and she is drunken with the blood of the saints, perverted sex, satanic mills and looms. The male is a furnace of beryl, the female is a golden loom. A winepress of love and wrath, double hermaphroditic. She is a phallic woman. Rahab, a dragon red and hidden harlot. The great whore is to be stripped. Her name is mystery. To see her naked is to destroy the mystery. The mystery of sex is the mystery of kingship. The mystery is the deception, the non-existent penis, the clothes. he substituted for her clothes, which did away with the dreadful nakedness. Take away her clothes, the emperor's new clothes. Political power is a web woven, a politic well-wrought veil, a veil of deceit, the veil of Maya. It is the non-existent cloth, the emperor's new clothes, made by the imperial fiat, the fiat of Marduk. To heal is to make whole, as in wholesome. To make one again, to unify or reunify. This is Eros in action. Eros is the instinct that makes for union or unification, and Thanatos, the death instinct, is the instinct that makes for separation or division. There is only one political problem in our world today, the unification of mankind. This is Christ's last prayer before the crucifixion, which was also the last prayer of the late Pope John. It must be set beside Freud's prayer in Civilization and its discontents. The unification of the human race, a mental fight, a struggle in and about men's minds. The rents, tears, splits, and divisions are mind-made. They are not based on the truth, but on what the Buddhists call illusion, what Freud calls unconscious fantasies. The prevailing sense of reality, the prevailing forms of knowledge are ruled by the instinct of aggression, and division are under the dominion of the death instinct. We are in Satan's kingdom to build a heaven and hells. Despite is to construct an erotic sense of reality, to make in ourselves a new consciousness. An erotic sense of reality is to become conscious of symbolism. Symbolism is mind-making connections, correspondences, rather than distinctions, separations. Symbolism makes conscious interconnections and unions that were unconscious and repressed. Freud says symbolism is on the track of a former identity, a lost unity, the lost continent, Atlantis, underneath the sea of life in which we live, Anisled, or perhaps even our union with the sea, Thalassa, oceanic consciousness, the unity of the whole cosmos as one living creature, as Plato said in the Timaeus. Union and unification is of bodies, not souls. The erotic sense of reality unmasks the soul, the personality, the ego, because soul, personality, and ego are what distinguish and separate us. They make us individuals, arrived at by dividing till you can divide no more, atoms. But psychic individuals, separate, unfissionable on the inside, impenetrable on the outside, are, like physical atoms, an illusion. It is the erotic sense of reality that discovers the inadequacy of fraternity or brotherhood. It is not adequate as a form for the reunification of the human race. We must be either far more deeply unified or not at all. The true form of unification, which can be found either in Psychoanalysis or in Christianity, in Freud or Pope John or Karl Marx, is we are all members of one body. Christ is the second Adam. These two are one. There is only one man. This is not a new idea, but part of the great tradition to be made new and alive today. And the resurrection is the resurrection of the body, but not the separate body of the individual, but the body of mankind as one body. The fall of man is the fall into division of the human race, the dismemberment, of first man, Adam, and the resurrection, or rebirth through the second man, Christ, is to reconstitute the lost unity. If we are all members of one body, then in that one body there is neither male nor female, or rather, there is both. It is an androgynous or hermaphrodite body, containing both sexes. In this way, St. Augustine explains that other old story, the creation of Eve, out of the rib of Adam. God did not wish to create the woman who was to be mated with man in the same way that he created man, but rather out of him, in order that the whole human race might be derived entirely from one single man. The division of the one man into two sexes is part of the fall. Sexes are sections. Hence, according to the epistle to the Ephesians, that true meaning of the mystery of sexual intercourse is that it is a symbolic representation or adumbration of that mystical body in which we are all members of one. The fantastic hypothesis of Freud in Beyond the Pleasure Principle and Ferenczi in Thalassa turns out to be right after all. The tendency of the sexual instinct is to restore an earlier state of things, an earlier state of unity, before life was sexually differentiated. Ultimately going back to a state before a living substance was torn apart into separate particles. Freud illustrated his hypothesis with the myth in Plato's Symposium deriving sexual differentiation from the bisection of a primal hermaphroditic body. What else is to be found in psychoanalysis by those determined to find about the one body, the mystical body, the truth, the healing truth, the wholesome truth, the truth that will make us whole, is not in individual psychology, nor in the currently so fashionable ego-psychology, but in what the later Freud called psychoanalysis is always the discovery of the unconscious. The turn to mass psychology corresponds to the discovery that the unconscious is collective. Since the true psychic reality is the unconscious, the true psychic reality is collective. There is only one psyche, a general possession of mankind. The goal of psychotherapy is psychic integration, but there is no integration of the separate, individual. The integration of the psyche is the integration of the human race. There is only one psyche, ego-cosmic, in relation to which all conflict is endopsychic, all war intestine. The unconscious, then, is not a closet full of skeletons in the private house of the individual mind. It is not even, finally, a cave full of dreams and ghosts in which, like Plato's prisoners, most of us spend most of our lives. The unconscious is rather that immortal sea which brought us hither, intimations of which are given in moments of oceanic feeling. One sea of energy or instinct, embracing all mankind without distinction of race, language, or culture, and embracing all the generations of Adam, past, present, and future, in one phylogenetic heritage, in one mystical or symbolical body. Personality is persona, a mask. The world is a stage, the self a theatrical creation. The self, then, as a performed character, is not an organic thing that has a specific location, whose functional fate is to be born, to mature, to die. It is a dramatic effect, arising diffusely from a scene that is presented. The self does not belong to its possessor. It is all psychodrama. The symptom is a dramatized wish. Neurosis endows reality with a special meaning and a secret significance. Sickness is all shamming, role-playing, acting out, and so is therapy. In the transference, the patient is acting out, reenacting new editions of old conflicts. Social groups are theatrical groups for group therapy. The name makes it so. Vocare et invocare. It's all in a name. I'm a noun, the schizophrenic girl said. Crazy Jane said, noun, none, none. I'm a no man or no man. My name is no man, Odysseus, every man said. Names are taboo. Primitive man regards his name not as an external label, but as an essential part of his personality. Neurotics, likewise. One of these taboo patients of my acquaintance had adopted a rule against writing her own name for fear that it might fall into the hands of someone who would then be in possession of a portion of her personality. The mask is magic. Character is not innate. A man's character is his demon, his tutelar spirit, received in a dream. His character is his destiny, which is to act out his dream. When a boy is to be thus initiated, he is put under an alternate course of physic and fasting, either taking no food whatever or swallowing the most powerful and nauseous medicines, and occasionally he is made to drink decoctions of an intoxicating nature until his mind becomes sufficiently bewildered so that he sees visions and has extraordinary dreams, for which of course he has been prepared beforehand. He will fancy himself flying through the air, walking underground, stepping from one ridge or hill to the other across the valley beneath, fighting and conquering giants and monsters and defeating whole hosts by his single arm. When a boy has been initiated, a name is given to him analogous to the visions he has seen, and to the destiny that is supposed to be prepared for him. The boy, imagining all that has happened to him while under perturbation to have been real, sets out in the world with lofty notions of himself, and animated with courage for the most desperate undertakings. The dream stuff out of which personality is made is not private, but social, a collective dream. The fund of personality, the fund of soul stuff available, is fixed and collective. The only soul is the group soul, and this consists of nothing but group functions. Fixed personalities, unchanging masks. Character is carving. When Marcus Aurelius says, "Carve your mask," he means develop your character. Stereotypes. All personality is rigid. This is the way to do things, and this is the only way. Magical and mechanical. A mechanization of a particular way of reacting. A repetition compulsion. A compulsion to perpetuate an identity established in previous incarnations. Character is karmic. Thus, names and personalities are fixed by archetypal persons and situations. The voices coming through the masks are always ancestral voices. The masquerade or carnival is a danse macabre, a visit of ancestral spirits, represented by the authorized bearers of their persons. The life of the clan consists in the perpetual reincarnation of ancestors, a reincarnation achieved by magic, by imitation, identification, by dramatic representation. Larva means mask or ghost. Larvatus, masked, a personality.